It is 10 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday, March the 13th. I called to order the Fort Myers Beach Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force. Please all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. All right, roll call. Shall we start on the right?
Dave Nussbaum here.
Bill Altoff here.
Jennifer Rusk here.
Robert Howell here.
Steve Johnson here.
Rose Larkin here.
Mary Rose Spalletta, present.
Chad Schutz, environmental staff for the town.
John R. King, council liaison.
Okay, the new face of the group here. Welcome to the group, Councilman King.
Thank you.
So the agenda. Any questions on the agenda?
I was only hoping that the activity book could be moved up to C.
C, yeah, I would agree.
And kind of shift those other two down just because we absolutely have to get to that item.
Yes, we may not have time for the last two as well, so I would agree with that. Any other discussion? Any other input?
No. I move to approve it with that one switch from between swapping C and E in the order.
Second.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. So let's jump in. Public comment.
Wait,
No, I'm sorry, approve previous meeting minutes. I have a motion to,
well, I had two questions.
mm-hmm,
On page 3, it says, Bill lives on the beach. I agree with the statement that he supports additional sand, no matter where it comes from, but then it says lives on the beach. I thought you live in Charlotte County. Is that correct?
Excuse me?
You live in Charlotte County. It says that you live on the beach on page 3.
No.
No, you live on the beach. You live in Charlotte.
When
We're
My
discussing the minutes.
your residence, yeah, she's just looking at the minutes, I guess.
the residence now, home, is in Sarasota.
Okay.
My place is on the beach down here.
Okay.
So what do you suggest, property owner?
I guess. I don't know. Yes.
What does it say?
It says lived on the beach
Put down the beach.
and supported additional sand no matter where it came from, and I didn't.
Right. But technically that isn't correct, so what would you suggest? Member Altoff?
Just supported additional sand.
Property
It
owner
just
supported,
doesn't even have to have just supported. He just supported additional
so
sand.
just strike that,
Yeah.
supported additional sand.
Yeah, just cut out the strike the lived on the beach part.
I think that's fine with me. Anybody have any issue with that?
I think it should be recorded that he owns property on the beach.
Okay.
That's fine too.
Bill, how would you phrase it so that it would be accurate and
Can you please correct the statement?
I own property on the beach is fine.
Who owns property on the beach? That's what I suggest.
Okay.
Murph member, I'll read it. Murph member Altoff, who owns property on the beach, supported additional sand, no matter where it came from. Is that acceptable?
Perfect.
Okay. Another change?
It was kind of an addition. Mr. Perry, at the very end in the public comment, gave a really detailed background on the sand and how it shifted from Lover's Key to Fort Myers Beach and how that all occurred. And he only got like 1-2 little sentences, and it's not mentioned that history. And I meant to go back and re-listen to it again, but it was quite extensive. And this just says he was talking about the beach, raking the beach since Ian. But he gave that historical account.
So you'd like to add the historical
I would like to say
account?
that he gave a historical background to the natural movement of sand from Lover's Key to Fort Myers Beach, and then start with
Well, do we know that's accurate?
I don't know. I was thinking it was based on what other people had said, showing pictures of the.
I don't know, maybe Chad could, is that accurate? Is that meaningful?
Well, it's his public comments, so
Some say,
does
right,
it need to be accurate? It's
I mean-
accurate for him.
right,
I take minutes as a reflection of what was said.
right,
Us correcting.
understood, yeah. So what would you suggest?
Just that
Rose?
Mr. Perry gave a historical background to the movement of sand from Lover's Key to Fort Myers Beach,
Okay,
and then
You,
just.
you pretty much wanted to say that it was a statement, not a factual,
Right.
okay.
any questions, any more discussion on that? I'll put it to a vote. We make a motion to approve I'll make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
My second.
Discussion?
Second.
Any opposition? Not hearing any. Motion is approved. Yeah, motion is approved unanimously. So, good. Public comment. We got 2 members of the public here today.
Good morning, everyone. Cindy Johnson, resident Fort Myers Beach. I'm also a volunteer with Turtle Time. Today, since you're discussing sea turtle conservation, I thought it would be a good idea for me to give you an overview of a light pollution seminar that went on sponsored by the FWC, and it happened in November. So this was the 6th annual light pollution seminar. The attendees for this year, were FDOT, FDEP, FWC, U.S. Fish and Wildlife representatives, people from security, safety inspectors, lighting representatives, and the window manufacturers and window tint representatives. And every year this happens because light pollution is a major concern for human safety, outdoor light pollution, and indoor light pollution for human safety, and outdoor light pollution for wildlife safety. So let me give you a little background because it's important that we understand what's going on outside our little bubble here in Fort Myers Beach. And Chair, give me the hook when it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, I just realized.
Okay, so,
Who'd like to be the official?
so in 2020,
I'll give you 2 more.
as Chad had mentioned in his great presentation, that FDOT and FWC had worked together to create a wildlife area of concern map and recommendations and requirements for lighting in a wildlife area of concern. And the council recently voted to abide by that. And their other recommendation is after a certain, it's usually about 1,000 feet from the beach is the requirement. It will be dark skies lighting. Well, we happen to have a dark skies lighting ordinance that everyone was supposed to be was supposed to adhere to by 2010. So none of that is anything new for anyone that lives here. The problem is that people don't understand it nor abide by it. So education is needed because it will actually make humans safer too. So some of the other things that are happening, FDOT, besides that, in their 2024 Green Book, they have now reduced light temperature colors for lower speed limit roadways, because we're using too much light, we're overlighting. The lighting industry has understood this. In 2020, they worked with the Dark Skies organization, and they had come up with 5 principles for responsible lighting. Instead, now they are calling it value-based lighting. So it's really important to these industries that we get this right and we are not overlighting, and they are really focusing like this. focusing like a light on reducing light pollution. So there was another, okay, I'll finish at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment? No? Public comment is closed. Let's move on. Current items, let's jump in. Sea turtle conservation. Staff liaison Schutz had brought to our attention the sea turtle conservation lighting standards as it applies to sea turtle conservation at our last meeting. To begin to review. He also, I believe, went to the town council already, and there was a vote or a consensus to pursue a course of action. Is that something you can share with us exactly, Chad, what the marching orders were from the town council?
Morning, everyone. My take on it was with regards to the gray area, which was the recommended dark skies area. I took it as giving me discretion in reviewing lighting plans to allow for non-long wavelength lights, as long as they could show that they are not producing light that is cumulatively visible from the beach, and thus complying with the lighting standards code.
So the wording you'd use was to review plans, did you say? Is that just for land development orders or?
Development orders and building permits, yes, sir.
And building permits, but residential, what about residential structures that don't have land development orders, or typically you don't review?
I review them, but a lighting plan is not required. Therefore, there's not a lighting plan to review. But there is a condition on all permits that I review that they shall comply with the Sea Turtle Conservation Code and the Lighting Standards Code.
Okay, so if there's let's say, an offending property that doesn't have dark skies lighting, is it your position then to approach them to say you need to come into compliance? If you feel if it's producing cumulative lighting?
Yep, that'd be part of the education process. Yes, sir.
All right. Did the council discuss at all the municipal lighting ordinance, the dark skies? Because it's clearly not being enforced. So how do we approach, how do we approach that? Education?
Sorry, I'm not following your question.
So the question is right now we have a municipal lighting ordinance. You shared it with everybody, and right now I would say there's, almost every property is out of compliance in one way or another.
I disagree with that, but okay. Is there a question?
That was a statement. The question is there something, how do we, that's all producing cumulative lighting, correct? So my question is how do we change that? You're, I guess, saying that you don't agree with the fact that the municipal lighting ordinance is being followed.
No, I disagree with the statement that almost every property is not in compliance. We are, it's triage. We're going to look at the properties that are most egregious and work with the property owners. We're under emergency orders still, is my understanding, and there are a lot of concerns for safety, but we are working with property owners to get into compliance with the ordinances.
Okay. Excellent. Any other input?
Well, I guess my question would be, how are you working with the property owners?
Contacting them and educating them on the requirements of the code.
But in my perspective, it would seem that there needs to be some kind of education. For you to say that most properties are not out of compliance for the municipal lighting ordinance, I don't think is accurate. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on that. And when I say that, that means that if they have any kind of floodlights that come out, that's out of compliance. If you can see the bulb of their source of the bulb, it's out of compliance. It's got clear glass and you can see the bulb. I mean, if I, just this morning, walking down Avenida Pescadora, I'd say at least 90% of the structures there had some kind of non-compliance. And it's not to their own fault. They don't know that. They just go to run to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever they get their lighting fixture and put it on there. So how can we, as a town, if in fact we still want to continue with that municipal dark skies municipal lighting ordinance, is there a way we can educate the community? Because if we say that we're going to follow our dark skies ordinance, when in fact, in my opinion, it doesn't really, it's not in effect, then the conclusion is going to be very difficult to manage for you. So I don't know. This is to help, I suppose, in your efforts to comply with all the ordinances.
Well, we have a lot of these beach patrol out there already, and they seem ill-equipped and ill-prepared to deal with not only animal strandings, but animal rescues. I think a whole education program for beach patrol and that team is not a bad step to look forward to, and it's something I've been working with FWC and talking with them about. They already do something like this, and they offer, I'm wondering if you can reach out to them to maybe expand on the training of beach patrol?
I think that's off topic. I think what we're talking
Well, no, but I think it goes in hand with not only responding to animals, but also responding to when there are properties that aren't
We're talking about the homeowners.
That's what I
The
mean.
property owners, we're
That's
attempting
what I mean.
to educate the entire island on the municipal lighting.
Right, but if we can get beach patrol to understand the ordinances and the rules, then they can educate these people when they see those ordinances being broken, or those laws being broken.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Counselor
I
King,
think beach patrol is busy.
is it my understanding that code enforcement is here to enforce the code, and we just hired 2 additional code enforcement people?
Correct.
Okay, so I think it's fairly clear that if education with the homeowner doesn't solve the issue of being in compliance with the ordinance, then it should be turned over to code compliance and have them come and visit them and say, look, you're out of compliance. It's a very simple issue. They're either in code or they're out of code. If they're out of code, you can't, you visit them. Chad says, look, here's the code, here's what the ordinance says, here's what we can see. And if they fail to adjust, then you have a compliance officer stop by and say, look, this is your first, last, and best warning.
Agreed, Mr.
I think
Nussbaum.
that'd be
If I may
manageable,
speak-
because I think actually it's just so widespread that you're going to have an uproar because everybody's going to be, I mean, getting a ticket. And I'm not sure you have resources. I suppose you do to go up and down every street, but
It's like eating an elephant, you take one bite at a time.
so do you have a recommendation, a motion,
No,
a recommendation
I
to town
think
council to start
I think
giving
it's
tickets?
already on the books. I think all we have to do is turn around, have Chad continue to educate the homeowners. If they fail to comply, then you turn it over to the code officers, and you have them stop by and say, look, here's the issue.
Okay, so where's the
we
question?
need
Where's
to-
the line between education and actually taking action?
I think that's the latitude that the council gave Chad.
But that's what my idea
What
was, some kind of
if I may
education
speak,
more.
I think what we need to address here is the time sensitivity of this issue. We can't wait until a disorientation has occurred before we respond to somebody's noncompliance. What we need to do is to get on top of the situation by addressing noncompliant lighting now, not in 2 months when we have a turtle that comes up to nest and is turned around because of a bright light, or heaven forbid, wait until a nest hatches and the hatchlings are disoriented and end up squished on our boulevard. We need compliance, maybe not 100%, but that should be what we attempt to achieve in before the season arrives.
Agreed. I mean, education is going to be an ongoing thing for years. It has been for years, and it will be for years, as long as we have new people coming onto the island and buying property that may not have ever owned in Florida. I believe that education is a consistency, something that we have to do. But we have to take action before sea turtle season, and now is the time. And so we are having to look at the town to do that.
And actually before bird nesting season, which I believe has begun, or it will be beginning within a week or two. We have a serious responsibility, and I think we need to be proactive.
Well,
I'm open to suggestions as to how people feel we can address the public. Because I don't want to be punitive. I much prefer to have people understand and comply willingly than to shake a finger at them and tell them they are subject to a fine. No one wants to hear that. People don't understand, I think. And they do the easiest thing. They buy that white bulb and stick it in there and think it's fine.
I think we have a new public relations officer for the town. I think we could make a motion to have that individual post repeatedly on the town website to explain and enhance the explanation of the ordinance to the people. I don't believe the new people coming in are the issue as much as the people that have remaining buildings that are trying literally to light their building. And I think it's very easy for the communication officer to say, here's the type of lights that you need to put in starting turtle nesting season, put them outside. It's simple to change a bulb. It's simple to shield a bulb going down. And I think we've got the facilities at the town with a new public relations individual to get the message out to the people. I think most of the people are well-meaning, and it's not a big deal to go down and buy the correct bulb at a correct facility and install it. In many cases, it's changing a bulb. So I think we have the means to get the information out. I agree with you that we don't want to be punitive. We don't want to slap people. We want to get the information out. And if there's any recommendation or motion I would make is that we ask the town to repeatedly put the information forth to the owners of the island and people renting to ensure that they conform with the town ordinance. That's, to me, a very simple way of getting the attention and getting everybody aware of what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's incumbent on us to do that. And we're stressing that we don't want to be punitive, we want compliance.
But I would have to say that a couple years ago, I went to Sanibel and went to their hardware store, and they had probably maybe 5 or 6 brands of red lighting, and only one they actually had to write a sign on the front of it that said this is, the FWC approved lighting. So, you just can't go to any hardware store and buy a red light. You have to find the proper lighting.
Right. It's not the color, it's the wavelength.
Correct.
Exactly.
That's correct. And
It's not the color,
I just
it's the
wanted to put
wavelength.
that out
Can
there
be part of
for
the
the public.
information
It needs to be
provided by the town.
Chad, I believe a few years ago, didn't the town provide lighting, not for free, but that we offered lighting for a fee?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Could we do that again this year?
It's your purview to advise council.
I would advise council that along with what Mr. Nussbaum said, and Ms. Spalletta, that we also provide for a fee the correct FWC wildlife lighting.
How did that go, Chad?
Was that a motion?
It was an advisory.
No, I mean, I just want to, when we sold those bulbs, did we sell out? Was it a
We
major
did.
chore for the, I mean, I know that the town hall has a lot to do these days.
Yes and yes. Last year, or following Hurricane Ian, was one of the first years where we didn't do it, and given everything that was going on, it was, with resources, staff resources, challenged. We did not offer bulbs that year. So, and also just speaking to some of the other comments, again, we are being proactive. I absolutely agree with being proactive and not waiting towards disorientations, and have been getting in touch with problematic properties with regards to lighting, and we will be sending out our annual notice and updating our website information to get out the word with regards to what the code requires and how to come into compliance.
You know, I don't want to take over anyone's job, but if the town needs someone to help distributing these lights, I would certainly volunteer sometime during the week when I could be available to open up the little shop where the bulbs are for sale. And I'm sure other people would too.
Sounds like a great idea for a 501c3 or an NGO type organization to an endeavor for them to undertake.
Well, maybe the beach hardware store could just start promoting them.
Let's
They're
pursue all, I think, pursue
That
all
would
of
be a
those
great
angles.
idea, is just have them carry it on there and say, here's one of the beach hardware stores, here's one of the areas where you can buy
Right.
the correct bulb. I don't, and I understand there's a lot of outlets, you know, and I'm not promoting Amazon, I'm not promoting any of the mail order places, but you can get turtle light bulbs as easily as going online, clicking twice, and it shows up in 2 days.
I've
it's-
ordered probably 3 different ones on Amazon that said they were turtle friendly, and they are not.
Well, it's,
Do your research.
Yeah, you have to
do
do your
your
research.
Just do
that's what I'm saying. The town can say, here's the correct bulbs, here's who manufactures them, put it on the website, and then the individuals can find the bulbs. It's not that hard to do. We do it as a condominium all the time. And we're 100% in compliance with the lighting ordinance. Amber lights throughout the property. And they're all turtle compliant. So it's not that hard to do. You just have to do your homework and order the correct bulb.
Right, right.
And I think the information should go out on Beach Talk Radio because they have a tremendous following and they could list the types of bulbs and the companies that produce them, and you would go out to,
There's a lot of
Well, why would
venues
we
to
do
get
that?
the information out, and I think that would be something that we could get
Public
the
relations
public information officer to get it out and collect we could send in our experiences with the bulb, and the other Turtle Time and the other people can say, here's all the bulbs that we have found that work, and send it in, and the
Great
public
idea.
information officer can say, okay, here are the bulbs.
Perfect.
So this kind of took a turn. I mean, that's maybe I can re-articulate this a little bit better, but that was, I feel like the sea turtle compliance is in focus, so my concern was this sky glow. So the cumulative light, which has become a real problem. And the point is it's not the beachfront owners that I think that we have a handle on that. I think there's been a lot of things done. Sea Turtle Conservancy has contributed a lot of time and effort on this island to help properties. Condos have helped themselves, like Island Winds. it's this cumulative light that requires, no matter where you're at on the island, that you have full cutoff and shielded fixtures. So you discuss it as part of the Sea Turtle ordinance, but it's actually our municipal lighting ordinance, that you have to have a shielded light. All the lights on your property need to be shielded.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask?
I'll allow you to interrupt. Did you have a
May
question?
I? Sorry, I apologize. Shielded, does that mean if there's an awning over the light, is that considered shielding?
Shielding means you cannot see the source of the light.
Okay.
Only the light, not the source, but only the light it's producing. So a can light. So if you got a can light, it looks like a coffee can, the bulb is up inside, and the light comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So again, garage lights that have motion sensors that you see, the PAR 30 bulbs or whatever the number is on them, that shine out on your driveway. I mean, those are not compliant.
So just to read the definition, sorry to interrupt you. Fully shielded means a lighting fixture constructed in such a manner that the glowing elements, lamps, globes, or reflectors of the fixture are completely covered by an opaque material to prevent them from being directly visible from the beach. Any structural part of the light fixture providing the shielding must be permanently affixed.
Is that the municipal lighting ordinance definition?
That's from our Sea Turtle Conservation Ordinance.
Okay. So I was just discussing the, I'm sure there's a definition there as well for, here's, I guess this is the municipal lighting ordinance. It says fully shielded, full cutoff recessed bulbs and flat lenses are the only permitted fixtures for outdoor lighting. Fully shielded, as he just said, fully cut off, recessed bulbs and flat lenses are the only permitted fixtures for outdoor lighting. So that's more or less reinforcing what you just said. So that's my point, that is, that's certainly not being followed anywhere on the island. So that was my concern, is that something that we need to do island-wide? Like I said, because it's just really a matter of ignorance. They've never looked into it. There's never been a, who looks up at the ordinance to see what kind of lighting you're going to get when you're replacing your garage lighting or your corner, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's...
Well, in shopping centers, there's, I live near two very large businesses, and they have, all their lights are extremely bright. In fact, I mean, so much so that it's intruding on my property.
I mean, also, for instance, all externally illuminated signs, any sign on the island can only be lit using shielded fixtures mounted at the top of the sign, illuminating the sign that way. You can't have actually an illuminated sign. So a fluorescent light inside with the glass kind of sign on it. You can't have uplights going up to the sign. I mean, these are all in the municipal lighting ordinance. So that's what I was saying, is it's, the town is rife with non-compliance, and my question is this, how do we approach that? Is that, because again, this is in fact producing cumulative light, and so it's under this topic that we dig into the municipal lighting ordinance a little bit, which we've done before, because this advisory board has looked at potentially attempting to get, let's say, dark skies certified, which our municipal lighting policy or ordinance supports, but is not, we have never followed it here in the town, and without cooperation with everybody, there's no way we would ever get that certification if that's important to anybody. But
So should we work on a motion to take to town council?
that, or we work with the PIO potentially. Nicole, the new, was Berzin, is that her name? Berzin? Berzin.
Okay.
To just potentially put education out in advisories to say, if you're replacing your lights, here's sort of and there's great photos available that just show what these sort of concept is.
I think we have three things we need to address here. The importance of compliance with the town lighting regulations, including all signage. We need to inform people about which bulbs will be in compliance, and we need to let people know where they will become available. In addition to online, we would hope that our hardware store would help us along, and if Town Hall has the ability to order some bulbs and have them available for purchase also. Those are the three things I think we need to address. how to go about that, Chair? Do we want a motion? Do we,
Sure. I mean, you can.
I don't have a motion yet, but I can, if we agree that those are the three.
I don't
I mean,
think
is
the
that
town
worthwhile?
should be put on the spot to get the bulbs right now. I think it should be the
They have enough
hardware
to do.
store.
That's independent, I mean, that's a
Right,
private
it would just be
business, yeah.
asking
I mean,
them.
you'd go to Graham and just ask them, hey, here's maybe a business opportunity here.
Okay,
you know,
perhaps he'll do
buy
that
a
once
couple
he,
dozen, see if they sell, and
But giving a list of exactly what bulbs and what companies produce
and,
them.
well,
Right.
I think Dave said he's already done that homework, right? You already know.
Well, we did it for the applications on our particular property. We didn't, but that's just for us. We put all turtle compliant lighting in our carports. That's a different bulb than what somebody else may need for something else. So we've got turtle compliant lighting on the pathways, which are separate lighting that we've gone through. So every property is unique and different, has their own type of illumination challenges. And, to say this is one size fits all, but for just a standard screw-in flood lamp type bulb, I think there's 3 or 4 viable options and I think that's the big issue that we're discussing from Chairman Johnson, saying people buy a floodlight, put it on the side of their house and light their driveway. There's numerous turtle compliant flood lamps that are available without going into a lot of,
I think you missed the point. It's the fixture, it's not the actual bulb. I mean, the people that I'm actually sort of considering, or the property owners, I should say, that are also need to be compliant are Back Bay. And it doesn't have to be amber lighting. It can be white lighting. It's just it can't go up. It can't go out or up. It has to go down. So it's really the fixture itself is what's non-compliant, not necessarily the light itself.
well, that's a different issue.
Right.
That's a completely different issue than buying turtle compliant bulbs.
Exactly.
And putting them in where you need to have turtle compliant bulbs.
Right.
So if you're talking fixtures on the Back Bay
Or any street. I mean,
or any street that can put in non-visible but non-turtle compliant bulbs, that's just a fixture that is in the ordinance, and people have to read it, and that can be put on there by the PIO and said, here's what you have to buy and here's what you have to put in. If you don't have it in there, you're probably going to get a visit from somebody during turtle season.
Do you think it would be worth the town's time and effort into making like going back to what I was saying about some type of educational class or video where we could have it on the website, like specifically showing what lights, not the turtle specific bulbs, but what lighting we're looking for, and because it seems like there's a lot of questions, a lot of communication, a lot of miscommunication. And a lot of times when you get into the legality and legal wording of it, it gets confusing to a lot of people. So like a short video to have on that says this is appropriate lighting, this is inappropriate, these are versions of one, these are versions of the other. Because like I feel like having or offering something for not just Beach Patrol and the code enforcers, but also just the residents to come, and if it's not a video, but some type of class that they can come in, and just a short educational program that is open to everyone and all. That's kind of the point I was trying to make before.
Well, then also, the town can also put out, maybe FWC's got a website. If you go and Google FWC Sea Turtle Lighting, it has a list. So the town could give that information out.
But I just feel
perhaps.
we,
So I think I have a motion that I think that I've boiled down to just the bare necessities here. I think all we need to do is ask the town council to advise the town information officer, because of the importance of the timely compliance with our existing lighting rules, that all of the lighting, including the signage as well as individual homes and commercial properties comply with the existing turtle safety rules. I mean, turtle safe lighting. And that she include in her advisory the exact specifics on what is turtle safe lighting, or wildlife safe lighting, I should say. Is that all we want?
Could we be a little bit more specific with the lighting and specifically say, to shop for 590 nanometers?
Yeah, I think she should put that in there, but we don't have to,
Okay.
it's already there.
Okay.
All she has to
Just
do is
think
look it
it's-
up. All we want to do at this point is advise people that it's a timely thing and we need them to do that now. And that we are on top of this, this necessity for compliance, and it is their responsibility to find this information and take advantage of it.
I concur.
Now, I know that's too verbose. I'll try and get it a little bit shorter, but I think we agree on the idea.
Okay, so I'll second that. Are you putting out a motion?
That's my motion, but it's not the final verbiage. I need to have quiet to think about the short verbiage for it.
Well, and you may not want to focus on the sea turtle. You may just
Right,
want
I'm
to
gonna
do
say
that
wildlife.
the town's, wildlife or the whole town's compliant.
Exactly, yeah. If you want to help me write it, go right ahead.
You can make it very succinct. And
That's
of
the
course, there's
idea.
always the color commentary that surrounds it too, or the comments after that follow the actual motion. So,
Okay.
yeah, or I should say the
But
recommendation.
that's what we need to do. And then all the ways we go about it will evolve.
Could we say something like a motion to ask the town to instruct the public information officer to identify the ordinances that are on the books and request, identify, illustrate, and request that the residents comply with the ordinances during turtle season, outlining what's available to date.
Sounds good, Dave, but I would like to put in there the importance of timely compliance.
You can add that too.
But otherwise, I like that idea.
Okay.
Okay, sounds like we have a making of a motion.
Yeah, sounds like it. Go ahead, Dave. You had the beginning verbiage.
We heard it, right?
Okay.
We can always go
I
back
think
and.
we can heard it, basically, we're instructing the public information officer to identify and illustrate the ordinances, the lighting ordinances for sea turtle nesting, and ask that it be,
That the importance of its timely
the
compliance be
timeliness
stressed.
is critical to getting that information to the citizenry.
Again,
I'll second that, Dave.
just for discussion's purposes, sorry to interrupt. So we do have a annual notice requirement in our sea turtle conservation ordinance that will do that.
Okay,
Great.
super. We can still
Absolutely.
Right, let's reinforce it.
Yeah,
all we're
social
doing is
and
telling the
website.
council this is important.
That go out.
It typically would go out in the April water bill.
Okay.
But that's, again, that's
That's
just a
timely.
fraction, yeah, but it's only
Yeah.
reaches a fraction of our community because most people, I
Oh,
mean,
right, water bills. They don't all, everybody doesn't get a
they're
water
digital,
bill.
right?
Well,
So,
but
We have the
that's
alert
included-
system.
That's included in the motion. That's part of the
Right.
public information
right.
officer.
Let it happen
Right,
both
right,
ways, exactly.
I mean, there's no restriction. They can go out, she can send it to Beach Talk Radio, the Beach Observer, any place else that she needs to get the information out. All we're doing is instructing the town, look,
do
this
this.
is important, and we think the public information officer should spend some time on it. We're asking for time of a resource of the town because we feel it's important.
I would also say that we do it throughout sea turtle season, not just right before, but just throughout the whole season.
Yeah, it can be readdressed.
okay, so we have a motion.
Yeah, I think Dave moved and I seconded.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll work with the PIO. Any other, shall we, anything else to discuss on sea turtle conservation, lighting standards? Sea turtle conservation. Hearing none, let's go to the next agenda item. Next agenda item today is,
The panel.
somebody help me here. Oh, the Resilience
Resiliency.
Forum panel, right. So you received so it's in place. This is really more of communication, I guess, than it is discussion to some degree. The flyer, I've been in contact with Nicole. I'll meet after the meeting here today just about getting the promotion of the event. So the event is taking place on Thursday, March 21st in these quarters from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. We will be hosting four local experts on coastal resilience and I like to call damage control. Dr. Michael Savarese, Dr. Janine Richards, both from the FGCU Water School. One is a coastal geology person, and Janine Richards is ecology, so it's really more the plants, dune vegetation, that type of thing. Dr. Michael Savarese is on the actual geology. Also included is Chad Washburn, who is the VP at the Naples Botanic Garden, and he's done research down in, I think it's Delnor Wiggins Pass Park, maybe down there. There's a park, it's a public state property or municipal property of some kind. And following the hurricane, they've been using that as a classroom to see what plants revegetate quickest in most numbers, that type of stuff. So they've got what I would say is a new look at the standard dune vegetation planting guidelines. And then also a gentleman called Dr. Christopher Daly will be there as well on the panel, and he is coastal geomorphology and marine and earth science. So those four will be making up a panel, sitting right here, I suppose, and the audience will be sitting out there. And it's really a question-answer. So they are the experts on resilience, storm resilience, and what really this town needs to, and property owners should, some things they can do to harden their properties to prevent more financial pain in repair. And what else can I say about it? Yeah, it's just really a panel forum with a question and answer. So it's not going to be lecture style. And I did distribute last night. I sent out the flyer that will be used, I suppose, if Nicole likes it. But that's where things are at. Any questions on our panel forum?
So this is not a MRF meeting per se, this is a public forum meeting?
It's a MRF-sponsored meeting. It's not, I would say, and it needs to be noticed as a MRF meeting, but it's not your typical meeting. There won't be a normal
So it's
convening.
basically a workshop?
It would be considered a workshop, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe that's the way it'll actually be presented, as a workshop.
And I'd like to add that this Dr. Savarese is the gentleman who has that information that is specific to Fort Myers Beach. So anyone who has any interest in the damage that was caused and why it hit specific areas harder than others, they should be there because they'll find it very, very interesting.
Yeah, to Mary Rose's point, one of the hottest points on the island is Newton Park. That is the epicenter of the storm. Receives the worst impacts.
His
from
data
storms.
is just absolutely astonishing.
They've got LiDAR data for the entire island and can be very, very specific, even your own property. I mean, if you have questions about your property, they can answer them.
Yeah, I don't want to steal his thunder, but
Anyway, we
Will
thought
the
it'd be
town
useful.
send alerts to people? The
Well,
text
I'm gonna
message
work with
alerts?
Nicole, and I'm
Between
gonna
now and then, yeah.
see if we can do advisories. She's, will be in charge of,
Right.
she's agreed to be responsible for that, the promotion of the event, So that's really the update on,
Right.
on the
And
panel
I've
form.
spoken with Mr. Washburn about plantings. Once again, he has very specific recommendations for plantings and how to go about them and what not to do. So it behooves us all to be there.
So tell everybody you know to come on down,
What's the time?
9 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. Here, Thursday, March 21st, which is coming up quickly, so another week, I suppose, huh? Roughly 8 days. Okay, any other questions on the resiliency panel event?
Are you going to reserve our seats?
I'm not, no, I'm not in charge of any kind of, anything outside of the event, so you have to come and make signs
Oh,
maybe
gosh.
and come.
Okay.
Okay, having any other questions, shall we move on? All right, next up is the activity book. That would be your,
Yes, Chair. So I had handed out the first 5 pages at the last meeting. We've received from Ms. Macy Knoll additional 5 pages. Mr. King, I know that you weren't here last meeting, so I included the first 5 in your handout. Please look over. We need to make notes, make corrections. The first 5 pages that you have, we did make corrections, but those corrections are not going to be made until at the end, just so she can devote her time to getting out the rest of the pages.
so the first 5, we don't need to review, those have been
We've already
reviewed.
done that, and those corrections are going to be made by Ms. Knoll.
Okay, and these are the next 5 here?
These are the
We-
next 5, and then we have an additional 6 left that will be at next.
Numbering issue?
As,
Yeah, I saw that. So numbering issue.
Yeah.
I have some notes when you're ready.
Can you, yeah, how would you like to do this? Is it 6?
I would
six-
say-
is
It's page
6
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Maybe can we take at
So-
least a minute to just review and read together?
We just, I guess maybe as a point of time improvement, there needs to be a better way to have these sent ahead of time, I think, so that we can.
So
try to
if
do
you
this
in the
before we
beginning,
come.
we got it. You were accepting the Google Docs. Once you accept from Miss Macy Knoll the docs, then you should be able to just go right
Those.
back into those docs, and they'll be added
They
to
don't,
it.
they don't work. The link brings you to Google. Google says you have to request access.
Correct, and that would be Miss Macy
And
Knoll.
we've done that, and since she's the one that's in charge of it, and if you have these in advance, then let's just send these, because it doesn't, I mean, from my perspective, the shared drive, the cloud drive is not working at all.
Yeah, I had the
Did
same
anybody else have
experience.
issues with that?
So I did too.
No.
I
You didn't,
requested
so
it.
you must have
Yeah,
gotten
you
approval.
never heard
have
anything.
the app. You have to have the app. The
We have
Google.
the app.
Okay.
I have the app. It just,
I got all of mine, so
You
I'm
did get all
sorry.
of yours. Okay.
okay, but again, I think, well then, if you receive them, maybe you can forward them to everybody. I mean, it's just a
No, I can't forward them, I
easy way to
can
do
read
it. You
them.
can do it, I mean, as long as you copy Amy
Well,
and.
the town has them too.
Well,
Why didn't they send them instead of the link?
I can go through my comments while you're reading real quick, because
Okay.
mine are
Okay.
short.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the only comment I had, Jennifer, again, given the age of the people that are working on this book, I am concerned that you're directing them to call Crow. And on this page, where it says, if you find an animal affected by these hazards, don't try to help it yourself. Instead, call Crow, and you've given a number for Crow. I'm not sure you want a child of the age that this book is doing calling Crow. I think they should find an adult or contact a police officer to call Crow. Otherwise, you're going to get 7-year-old kids. Mom, can I have your phone? I need to call Crow because I think this animal is in trouble. And it could be a tern standing on one leg which a lot of them do, because he's only got one leg.
I believe we did that too on one of the pages
Yes,
in the
that's
first.
correct.
So I have that
That is,
noted.
that is the only thing I have, otherwise it's fine.
Got it. Thank you.
Next person.
I have a few, Jen.
Go ahead.
I have a few. The word search page looks fine to me, but if you go to the Our Shorebirds page, that
page
is,
7.
I think it should technically not be an Eastern oyster catcher. It should be an American oyster catcher.
That's correct.
And I think that the label may be incorrect. I think that all of these four birds, the American oyster catcher, the least tern, the snowy plover, are state designated threatened. I don't think they're endangered. I think they're state designated threatened.
That's correct.
Well, I suppose depending on what the definition of endangered is here.
There's two different,
Endangered. it's
I
not
think
being
we're more
technical.
accurate if we say state
wanna be
endangered threatened,
technical,
don't you,
right.
Chad?
it's threatened, it's not endangered.
Yeah.
Couple typos there too. Least tern is misspelled. Should be Tern. And the other one, it should be a black skimmer, correct?
Yes, sir.
So those are a couple there.
And then in item number 3, do we want to include the eggs in there? It says draw a circle around birds, baby chicks, and should we put and eggs? Because I see some eggs up there too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Sure.
Yeah, we're on, it's
Page
on this,
7?
on that Our Shorebirds page.
Okay.
Which has a big number 6 on it. In item number 3, where they're drawing a circle around the birds and the baby chicks, I think we should include the eggs that are there too. And when we get to the manatee page, once again, I think in Florida they are not endangered. I think they are threatened. And we don't have an activity on this page, the manatee page. It's informative, but we need to give these kids something to do.
Color. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions?
Color the algae green.
Really? Are you being serious?
On their back, maybe. Props, they're prop stars, yeah.
Maybe draw seagrass in or draw their food or something like that.
Drawing seagrass, that would be good.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Drawing the seagrass they need to eat.
Feed them.
Have a
Drawing
little
Yeah.
seagrass they eat.
How much do they eat?
About 10% of their body weight a day.
100
about
pounds.
100 pounds.
Today. Yeah,
Good.
100 pounds of seagrass.
I wanted to point out on the crow page, I was wondering, instead of that bottle by the jellyfish, or by the sea turtle, we have him eating the plastic bag. Could we make that bottle a jellyfish to kind of show that they look very similar?
Where are you, Rob?
Bottom left of the crow page,
Oh, the
where the
crow
sea
page.
turtle is eating the plastic bag.
I think this page is very, very busy.
That's that's the next point I was going to say. Is this
Could
a
we make
very
it two-
overwhelming
Yeah.
page? Especially the part here with like the pollution, artificial light, roads, and unsupervised pets. That's a lot of like lumped together, and the pollution almost looks like little amoeba and stuff. I wonder if we could just maybe
One thing at a time.
yeah.
Where are we?
So you got
Okay,
the
so
you got the-
jellyfish. Draw a jellyfish.
instead of the plastic bottle to make it look like a bag.
Okay.
See how they get it confused. And then the other bit is
A good one.
I don't know. I think it's too much on one page.
yeah. Then the other thing.
Now
we were
this
saying-
was Crow's page.
Yeah.
Exactly,
They,
yeah.
they wanted this information in here, and
But
we can eliminate. Of course, it's
There's-
our book, but
There's a whole section that's a duplicate. The bottom right corner that has the beach chairs and toys and stuff, that's already on page 2
okay.
from previously.
So maybe eliminate the beach
So they
chair.
could do that
toys, and
whole
homes.
beach chair, that whole big circle.
Okay.
yeah, that gives us
And
more
that-
space.
Yeah.
Spread it out what they have.
And then if they wanted to move that thing about if you find an animal affected, what Dave was saying, by these hazards, do not try to help yourself. Instead, contact an adult to call Crow and put that over where the beach chair is?
Take this and I'll
It's already up
take
there in
this
the,
away.
in the left-hand corner, it's got their number,
Right.
so we probably don't need that circle, right?
So eliminate that circle.
Well, they're saying it's
No.
kind of like maybe
Redundant?
add this information up here in a different way, reword it. I think is what they're trying to say, because it's already kind of the same thing as redundant. And that, but like, I think the top left with the pollution, unsupervised pets, rows, and that looks like a glob of a lot, especially the pollution bit. So maybe reworking that into that whole right section of the page.
Well, we need to be specific for her.
Can we do multiple pages?
For Crow,
No, we're at our,
or Mac. I think the four. I personally think taking away that whole right side of the page and just leaving boat strikes, litter, fishing gear, and human food on this page. That's how I would rework it. Because the other bit there. Not
what
that it's
about
not
the
important.
artificial light? Because we don't have any of that information in the,
That's not anything of the turtles or anything.
well, I mean, they discuss it, but
That's what I mean. That's,
A 6-year-old or a 10-year-old child is going to have no control over boat strikes
Right.
on manatees, so
I
that
disagree
whole
with
area.
that. They can say a lot to their parents.
Well, okay, but
Well-
I think if you look at what they can do, they don't have to feed the birds. That's a very good thing. They can pick up fish line, which is something they can do, and they don't have to litter. And I think those are the three things. That's their attention span. Crow can be up there, and then you can make a color the plastic bag, orange so the turtle doesn't eat it. I don't know. Do a function for the child to do something, but I think those are the three things that a child can look at and do. Don't feed the birds, don't litter, and pick up fish line. And those are three big things on the beach. If you want, and we've already got something in there, don't dig holes. So I think that's all you really want to try and do. That's their attention span, takes a busy workout, so on and so forth. And leave a thing that says, if you see any of these things, a distressed bird, a distressed turtle, or a fish line, get a parent and call Crow. My 2 cents.
Hank, what are the kids coloring on this page?
nothing. It's informational from Crow.
But it's our coloring book.
No, I understand that, but they're a huge, they're rehabilitation for our community, and they'll probably be printing a lot of these out and giving them away for educational purposes.
Then do we need that here in our coloring book?
Yes, because they have their rehabilitation facility in our community, and they have good information, I believe.
Are they helping pay for our coloring book?
No, they're not they're probably going to be printing them and handing them out at their facility and at their local schools, and even, probably helping us as well.
Well, if you take out that bottom circle, and artificial light is also mentioned back on page 2, at least for the turtle hatchlings, not for the deer.
Okay.
But then you could expand those other 3 items through the whole page and possibly fill in something.
Okay.
Right.
I
What-
will suggest.
I just folded it over so we don't have the right-hand side. If we take the items that are left on the left and spread them out,
Okay.
and then for the boat strikes, we can have them put a prop guard around the, and suggest they talk to their parents about speed. We can have them draw a bag to put their litter in to carry out. We can have them put their food back in their cooler. We can make all of those activities if we only have a few items on that page.
Okay. I will make all these suggestions to Miss Macy Knoll.
I'll help you if you need it. Let me know.
Just a note, I have given away during the during my time here with Murph and the, pop-ups, I have probably given out thousands and thousands and thousands of these activity books that have been supplied through different venues. And actually, you would be surprised at how many parents work with their kids with these activity books, whether it's on a plane, going back home. I've had, repeat visitors who say, wow, I didn't know about this. Never occurred to me to have the kids fill in holes. Never occurred to me not to, have the kids chasing birds. The parents do
Right.
look at these activity books.
And that goes back to what we've said about people will be compliant. They just need to find out what it is we want them to comply with. And we can have them picking up the fishing gear and adding it to their trash container and not a trash can on the beach. Let them carry it out. They carried it in, carry it out.
I have something to ask about that page 7, that beach page. Number 3, it says, circle the boy chasing after the tired
Yeah.
birds.
I saw that,
It doesn't look
There-
like he's chasing any
No.
birds.
I've already talked to her about
Okay.
that. We're going to eliminate the kite
Turn him the other way and like have
and
him
have birds.
chase
She's got
Oh, turn him the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause right now it looks like he's just doing his thing and the birds don't seem bothered. But if he turn the other way and like we move these birds just over and have a couple taken off.
How's the artwork? Any
I like the manatees.
Looks grand.
The
birds, are they?
The artwork on that last page is a little iffy.
Well, that's
I'm
from
just
the
kidding.
Beach
I'm
Kids.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
I probably will ask for the dolphin to nose
Aw.
to
No,
look.
it's a kid drawing.
That's true.
I think
That's
it's
true,
fine.
and it's
The-
part of the
My,
drawing.
my only thing with the artwork is if we keep parts of the pro page with the pollution, it looks like I said, it looks like little amoebas and stuff. Maybe make it look like exhaust or waves or
Well,
smoke or something.
I thought we had decided to eliminate.
If whatever
Okay.
she does, just in case,
Okay.
yeah. If she does decide to keep that.
Well, we're guiding her, so
Okay.
if we all agree that that pollution portion of it, unsupervised pets, artificial light, roads, and beach chairs, toys, and holes be eliminated, expand the boat strike, fishing gear, human food, litter, and incorporate the little circle with the information to the top. I think it might not look so overwhelming.
Well, and the unsupervised pets goes back to the page we were just looking at, on the boy chasing the birds kind of thing. It also says on there about people and dogs. It could be people and unsupervised pets can harm the birds and chicks and just. So it doesn't need to be on both pages
Right.
because the pollution thing is important. But then you've eliminated the artificial light, you've eliminated the unsupervised pets, and you've eliminated the beach chairs. So,
Leave the pollution.
and possibly do that thing what Mary Rose was saying about adding the bags to collect trash or removing trash.
Yeah, I'd like to see them carrying it out rather than looking for a trash can. It's just more work. Carry in, carry out. And you can pick up the monofilament and add that to your trash on the way too.
What about numbering of the pages? Do we need numbers on the pages? And you like the numbering on the right or the middle?
I'm a fan of the middle.
Yeah, make it consistent.
And then she has to alter them because page 6 is really page 7.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well, I hope that's enough for you,
anything
Jennifer.
else? Yeah, I think it's enough. And we're getting close.
By the
Next
date.
month, we'll have the last 6 pages, and then we'll go over it, and then hopefully we'll take it to town council and the town, and they'll approve it, and we'll get printing and be able to start educating. And I'm very excited. I think that you know, this is a great start to educating our kids and our visitors and community.
Yep, thank you, Jen. That's, you put a lot of hard work into this with the organization. So to understand this correctly, that next meeting then we'll review
The
11
last
through
6.
15, 11 through 16, whatever it is. And at that point, it will go back for final modification. You'll receive it back, and then the intent is to bring it to town council to share with them and get consensus that we can move forward.
And the town PIO will have to approve everything. And then I guess, you know, the discussion on, you know, I'll get pricing for printing and how it's going to be laid out and bring that to you in April as well.
Yeah, I think it's looking great, Jen. And the beauty part of it is it's ours.
Yeah, it's a town's.
Good work. Keep it up.
Thanks.
Okay, that was great.
And then I'll commit to sending it out to everyone, or a copy of the last 6 pages.
Okay.
Oh, great. So we don't
So-
have to spend half an hour trying to find it.
Yeah, I don't, apparently you're more successful
I
than I am
will.
with that, but I've
will.
requested twice, it comes up, and, you know, I'm very familiar with the process, and I don't know if Macy doesn't recognize me or won't approve of me or what, but I don't blame her.
You are suspicious.
I don't blame her. So, good, well, let's move along then. I think we're moving at a better clip than normal. Sewer lines. Let's bring that up again. This topic is about the identified...
Excuse me, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Are we eliminating adopt a right away?
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. My arrow brought me to the wrong line there. Adopt a right away. That's correct. That's probably... So where do you all stand on Murph's involvement on what we can do to help that idea of adopting right-of-ways? Basically, it's, again, maybe as a quick review, this is the right-of-way that is contained in front of your property. So if you're a Estero Boulevard property owner, it would be that space between that little strip between the sidewalk and the street. On the north, it's a little bit wider, and I think that's what prompted the idea, was that people were doing, you know, different things with that area. And again, Councilman Adderholt had thought that that would be something that would be neat for the entire town. And also, I think there's a clear benefit that the town wouldn't have to maintain those areas because you would be adopting them and caring for them and maintaining them yourself. So it would be an easier, I mean, from my perspective, it would be helpful for the Public Works group not to have to mow those or weed whip them or whatever the intention is. But again, if we have a string of homeowners and 5 aren't interested and 1 is, I mean, how is that managed? And do you have any plans?
I have a question
Is there a
for
better
Counselor King. If we
Relax, Dave, it's my first meeting.
if we propose adopt a right-of-way for homeowners, which is the area between the Estero and their property, we're not saying that they can put anything they want in there. We're just saying you're responsible to take care of it. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah, previously, there were some guidelines we thought we would need to discuss, because you can't put 6-foot hedges there, let's say, because
That's against the ordinance.
Right.
But I mean, if somebody said, I want to put white seashells in place of grass, because white seashells under a mat take 0 maintenance, so on and so forth. Or I wish to put, you know, a creeping flax ground cover or something like that. You know, is there an issue with the town if someone gets into individuality of their property in adopting a right-of-way, or is this just going to be you're in charge of your right-of-way? Because
Right.
there it's a kind of carrot-stick thing. Okay, I'll take it over, but I'd like to do what I'd want to do with my property versus, okay, you're asking me to take it over, that's what I pay taxes for, the town's supposed to take care of it.
Right. Well, I think it'd be voluntary first.
Well, no, I understand
Right,
that,
but we need to articulate that,
But
yeah.
that's the carrot that I'm saying I think if we're gonna do something like that, that gives everyone a little incentive to say, you can do some individuality on your property, but then you're responsible to take care of the individuality. And if we do allow, if the council does allow this to go on, how far does that individuality go? So that's the issue that I see on the whole thing. Or you can just say, no, you can volunteer to be responsible for it. And a lot of people do sometimes anyway.
Right,
They
sure.
just have a lawn service and they take care of it regardless. So that's my question to Councilor King. Are there limits on what we can do on that piece of property that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any, but I'm sure there are. You can always count on the town to have something involved.
Okay, thank you.
I'm wondering if instead of individuals, we should say it's that entire block. So there would be some consistency rather than, as Dave said, you might have one that wants seashells and another that wants small plantings. Let them all agree. I don't know,
Not all neighbors are friendly with each other
but
either.
this
so
might
not
be the
down all-
beginning of a
you go.
neighborhood group.
Bring people together, adopt easement.
I think it's going to be a tough one.
I agree.
Not enforcement, just even to propose adopting and then who's,
I mean, that framework would come to us to put together. That's the point. I mean, are we going to say that, I mean, there'd have to be some more investigation. What are our landscaping rules for right-of-ways? And like, Councilman said, there's got to be some documentation there of what you can and can't do. You'd have to investigate that first and then determine what, make that the framework of if you'd like to adopt it, then officially send in your form and you can adopt it, but here are the rules.
Should we get some input from the public
That's
to
never a
see
bad
if
thing.
there's anyone that's even
why we're here.
interested? Because if we don't get a lot of input or, requests to adopt an area, then it falls, I believe, right back on to who's responsible for it now.
Well, the town.
The town.
The town is.
Yeah.
Right.
So we find out who is interested. If, name all the right-of-way areas, put it out in the public and all
A
the,
map, actually.
right? Do
probably,
a map and say, is anyone interested? You have a deadline to get back with us on, who's interested. And if we have a lot of people interested, then we know which direction to go. If we don't, then we need to go ahead and just have the town take over or continue to.
So how do you propose that we get the public input?
Well, don't we have a PIO now? We send alerts. We send out
Another
to
survey,
whoever
another
wants
survey, monthly
to.
survey, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah, I think we
that's good
need to
input.
do that. We need to find out how much interest there is before we ask people to do it.
Right.
Need,
There's,
Is there a reason Murph is getting involved with this? Is this for an environmental issue, an aesthetic issue,
well, it was
cost-saving issues for the town? What's the issue?
So the way I think this came about was, again, Councilman Adderholt at one of the meetings that the Murph had presented at a recommendation. In one of those early on was the concept of regreening the island, and so that was the first thing the advisory board discussed is how can we help? But then we've got the Estero Island Garden Club, and we've got there's other organizations that were already involved and had already come up and offered their services to help with right-of-ways and things like that. So we sort of punted there and said, that's great, they can be sort of in charge of regreening, but as part of the discussion, Councilman Adderholt saw a property. It was on the north end of the island, or I should say the upwards end of the island, above Times Square. one of those properties there. Has anybody seen the property that he?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was his inspiration, I think. He thought that would be a great idea. And if we should look at a program, is there a way that we can spread this program or this idea, concept? He was a fan of it. So then we did discuss it in a meeting, and we talked about the things we did today, about about bushes and who's going to maintain it. We also identified that certain right-of-ways are probably more productive than others. There's the very, very thin strip along the central part of the island, and then obviously as you head south or down the island, the easements will get much larger because there's a 100-foot right-of-way there versus only 50 feet, let's say, on the north end. So those, and I think you yourself, Member Nussbaum, had said that it'd be potentially attractive to a condominium to say, hey, we can actually make this our own. It could be a continuation of your own foliage. It could be whatever you want it to do. So there was some attraction from that perspective of being able to do something with that area and customize a little bit for your own property. So,
Providing you can do the customization.
Right,
Which
yeah.
prompted my question to Councilor King.
right,
What limitations do we have
right.
within the town?
Can you load it up with voodoo icons? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
If that's,
yeah.
I mean, chicken.
And get, the little chrome balls on the pedestal, and put them all across.
Right. What? Yeah. What's funky and what's junky?
That's
right?
an old Wisconsin joke.
Yeah. So, what's the temperature of our advisory board on this? Do we want to dig in a little bit more? I mean, it was a request.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I personally think uniformity looks nice anywhere you go, and I think if we maybe had someone come and give us a consulting on the different areas of what would look good, maybe plumbago or like Calusa or some bush that is green year round, low maintenance, and the smaller areas, better landscaping, I think, than the town maintains it. To me, that's personally what I think would be the best. So we have uniformity all throughout the island, all the way down Estero Boulevard, and we can eliminate a lot of different looks. That's just my thought.
And again, I will say, I think the whole incentive behind it is to add to the individuality of a property. That's what makes it attractive, where you have a landscaping theme on your property. We have 300 feet along Estero Boulevard, and we would look at carrying our landscaping theme all the way out to Estero, which would make it something of particular interest to our property, but it would not necessarily be a uniform piece along the road. So that's why I asked again what latitude property owners have, and because I think that's the incentive. If you can be a little individual and you can make your property something, that's a little different than the norm, makes it stand out. But again, if the town has specific ordinances that say, here's what you can do, then it becomes a moot point. And this is,
Right.
I don't think you're gonna generate a lot of interest just by saying everybody gets to be a cookie cutter
Right.
all the way down the aisle. My
Right.
personal
I mean,
opinion.
uniformity could end up being turf grass all the way up and down the island, and I don't think that's really a good solution for a barrier island. So, I mean, you got to be careful what you wish for. If it is uniformity, it could be that.
I don't think it belongs within the MRF umbrella. So I don't think we ought to play with it. There's other, you mentioned the garden group.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah.
They can take a swing at this and work with the town. I don't see where we want to spend our time on this.
I pretty much agree with that, though I don't agree necessarily with the garden club, but I do agree with that. I also thought that native plants really need to be reinforced, because I know the plot of land that has been referenced now several times at MRF meetings on the north end of the island. And that was primarily not native plants they put in. And I have seen the owner out there with a hose watering on numerous occasions. And in terms of trying to conserve water, as well as fertilizer, pesticides, and everything else, I still would like to promote native plants.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that's like about all we, as Murph, would want to say about it is whatever they decide, whoever decides it, try to push towards native plants to, whether
Right,
it's
and it-
pollinators or for nesting birds or whatever it may be.
I agree with
That's
that.
the only bit I could think of.
And you have too many cooks in the kitchen. If one area, one block doesn't get taken care of and another block is being taken care of, it's just, I think choosing some native plants that work well in each area and have the town maintain it. That's my,
So, I mean, maybe another point that should be brought up is that when they redid Estero Boulevard, the town took over the planting and the maintenance of the right-of-ways along Estero Boulevard for approximately $800,000 is what they, the allotment they gave them to vegetate and I suppose maintain, in perpetuity that area. So who, to the point of who's involved with this, I mean, who would be, somebody's deciding, in the end, this right of way has to be managed, whether it's adopted, which again, I had mentioned there's benefits there for the maintenance and actually, I don't know if the homeowner would actually pony up the money to plant what they, maybe there's something in there that says it has to be native, whatever it is. There's a cost savings to the town for that. I mean, if we do get audience participation here, property owner participation, but
I believe the north end of the island was maintained and the town purchased
that's
all
a town
the,
property. That's a
Right.
town roadway. It's not
So
a
the-
county roadway. From Times Square North is town-owned property, a roadway. So I think that's, to answer your question, I think that's why it was managed that way.
okay, thank you.
So now we got a can of worms opened up here. We got these different things happening here. So, I mean, are we the right advisory board to put a program together? Or is it going to become a conflict with what's the intentions are for that stipend that came from the county to take care of that area? I mean,
I move we table the issue and move on.
is there any opposition?
But I think we should return to it at some point. I think we should think about it,
Yeah, I think so.
That's
too.
fine.
table it for now.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think we'd get to it today, so I didn't put a tremendous amount of thought into it.
And I have one comment about Member Ruska's plants that she named. Neither one of those were native.
Sorry. Shame on me.
Sorry.
Blaming on the days.
Item D.
Right, let me make sure I get it right here.
Education.
Adopted right away, sewer lines.
Are they Florida friendly?
Yes,
Okay.
they are Florida friendly.
Okay, so let's move along here. At least, so to leave adopted right away, we will table it, and we'll discuss that when it comes down to set agenda for next meeting. But I think maybe in that time, we can investigate a few things. I'd ask each member to poke around and
Right.
find
but-
out. Like, I personally haven't gone up and looked at that easement yet, so I need to do that right away. That's been taken over. So, but also maybe there's a possibility of getting a map of the available right-of-ways to understand what the scope of the sort of the project would be, and maybe if there are any plans at all from the town that is already addressing that from Public Works.
Yeah, I'd like to
So-
reread that ordinance too.
Well, exactly. Well, that'd be great if you would just to see
Yeah,
what's allowed
Exactly.
next to the street.
right.
Okay, perfect. All right, so that'll be tabled, and let's go on to item. How are we doing on time? Pretty good. It's 11:30. The sewer lines. Shall we approach that today?
Well, and we brought that up, and I guess I just giving some anecdotal information. We did have our sewer lines scoped and all the way out to the street. And there's numerous companies. I had the company's name, and I'm not sure we need to put it in the meeting, but there are several other companies that do it. They will scope your sewer lines go all the way out, and in lieu of digging up all the way to the street, they will reline your sewer line. We did find 2 breaks. Actually, we found 3
Wow.
that were cracks in the lines from shifting. So I think it's not cheap, but it's not expensive. It's, it depends on where you stand and everything, but you can reline your existing sewer line in place without digging up, depending on how severe the crack or break is. But we did suffer a shift from the floodwaters at our property and had the repairs done. So I think as a committee, we should recommend that the town strongly encourage property owners to have their sewer lines scoped and if necessary, relined or repaired, because now we're 50 years old. There are some properties that are less than that and may not have suffered the same issues. But I would say as a committee, we strongly encourage the town, again, to strongly encourage the citizenry to have their properties inspected to avoid any sewer contamination going through the soil. That's, I think, the best we could do at this point. And that's all anecdotal, but there are companies, commercial companies that will come out, and I think it took us 3 days total from start to finish. Scoping, shutting off the water, relining it, and they're out of there. So it's not particularly invasive, but it can be done, and it's something that everybody should be aware of. We may be unique, we may be the only ones, it could be more, but you don't know until you scope the line.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't heard anybody the only people I've heard from are people that have had it done and they found that there were in fact cracks. So, I mean, it's, as you can imagine, that's a real problem to have sewage leaching as a point source of pollution. I mean, the last thing, from a financial perspective, this town needs is, red tide bloom. Not that that certainly is going to cause one, but again, water quality. So certainly I would agree that there should be a recommendation without question. At a town council meeting during an advisory board report, we went through the initiative list that we all agreed to when we got back together. And on this particular item, I think Frankie Kropacek had mentioned that there could be, potentially grants or something in there. And I remembered that also I think the state has septic to sewer type funds available to try to move people from septic to sewer. And there's money for that. Does something like this fall under that? That if you do get, can we get them scoped? Sign up to have it scoped, and if there's a problem, are there funds available to, like you said, reline it potentially only, not to replace, reline, depending on the extent of it. But again, I mean, it's very telling. I mean, you had 3 breaks in yours, and you're just one property. Of course, there's 100 residents there, and that's a lot of waste going through your lines.
Well, it's a long way. It's a long way from our buildings. It's a long way from our buildings to the street as well. So
Sure.
It wasn't just a 25-foot run.
Right, and if obviously there's a huge gap, maybe you get a little, but you probably would never know it unless you actually had
Is it
done
the
that work,
county
because
that
it's-
owns the sewer lines?
No, usually property. I mean, I may be speaking out of turn, but typically you own the sewer pipe to the right of way, to the main.
And then who's responsible?
Then it would be the county, I believe, or is it state or county? I'm sorry, municipal or county? Our sewer
It is county.
county, right? Yeah, county.
Yeah.
Then from the street they take it off the island for us, clean it up.
Considering how important clean water is to this community, I would be in favor of making it more than just a voluntary compliance. I think the town should require it, maybe not right now, but certainly within a short period of time. I don't like the idea of
point.
people's sewage leaking anywhere on this island. But I'd vote for voluntary compliance at this point, but mandatory at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It's involved, obviously. You'd have
It is,
to-
but it's so
there's
important.
costs involved, but
And
I
if
think-
we don't do it,
Well, I
Who
think
will?
I think the first step would be investigate, right, funding sources, because that people are much more agreeable if they don't have to pay for it.
Sure.
So, and that's that'd be the right way to do it. So, where do we go from here? Do we make a recommendation? Start with a recommendation to council saying, if we
Right.
can.
I think we can start with a recommendation that asking the town through the PIO officer, Public Information Officer, to strongly encourage residents to have their sewer lines checked because cracks have been found. And in the interest of clean water and preventing sewer water leaching into the ground, it behooves them to have their sewer lines
Yeah.
scoped.
I mean, the time is right. Actually, a lot of people. I mean, as a matter of having it was a past MRF member had actually sort of brought this to the group because he had plumbing done, and while he was there, he paid maybe $100 to scope the line for residents. It's a fairly short, straight run, and that's how he found out his was cracked. So, if you're getting plumbing done, so maybe it is important to get it out there now to say if you do have, if you do have plumbers coming in, then it costs much less, not having to have a special call to come out, as we work on what other solutions we might find.
And I'm by no means a building official or anything else, but I think if someone is building a new home on their facility and using existing laterals going out to the street, that could be part of the building permit, that if they're not replacing them, at least they've scoped the laterals out to the street to ensure that they're, still working. And I think that could be incorporated into a building permit for rebuilt homes going in that aren't replacing laterals.
So laterals, I just have a question. I don't know if anyone can answer this. For example, where there was a little cottage, 1,000 square foot cottage, they may have put in laterals, pipes that would have been able to handle a small cottage, but now you're having 6-bedroom, huge properties being built. Is it the same size piping? I don't know. I mean, you would.
That's permitting it up to the builder and the town and everything else. As I said, I'm not a builder. I'm just saying if someone is putting a home on top of the existing lot and they're using existing laterals, that we could ask the town to see if they could ensure that the laterals are inspected, as part of the building permit, because, the laterals did shift. There is damage that was done due to the weight of the flood water on the island, and I think it's in the grand scheme of things, having it scoped and relined is not terribly expensive, but it's a very good preventative measure to protect the entire island and the water surrounding the island.
Yeah, and the property owner too, frankly. I mean, if they're aware that there could be a problem, they would probably want that checked, especially if they're investing in.
It's a lot easier to fix a
building a new
crack.
place.
It's a lot easier to fix a crack than to fix a ruptured pipe.
Sure.
Because then you're bringing in a backhoe, you're digging down, and you're literally replacing a section of pipe. And if you put pavers down or, whatever, it just runs into a lot of cost.
Yeah.
So it behooves the property owners to scope their laterals if they're doing any new building at all. And if you're there, it behooves them to check as well. Just preventative maintenance is always a lot cheaper than waiting until after the fact and getting backhoes into everyone's property and digging up. But
I wonder if we could encourage people who do this to tell us whether they've found a crack or not. I just think that would be interesting to see how many people actually found a problem that this,
I actually found a problem.
yeah,
Right, right.
yeah.
Yeah, and we had 3 other cases, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that it's doable, but it would be interesting to see most people did or most people didn't. Which then would tell us whether should necessitate an ordinance to make people do it. If people aren't finding it, why bother?
It may well be part of it may be well part of your occupancy permit to make sure that you are connected,
Good idea, yeah.
okay?
Right.
It may already be part of that process.
I wonder.
So is that Frankie
Another
that
question.
would look into that?
I don't know.
Permitting.
We did it because we felt it was something we needed to do, and we took care of it because it was a recommendation from our general contractor and from a couple of our board members, and we just said, you know what, it's
No, never, yeah, now's the time.
this is the time to get it done. So, and we've always tried to be good stewards of the island. So it was timely to get it done as part of the repairs of the buildings after the storm. And again, I think from our experience, if we had it, there are other properties out there that will. And however we want to encourage the town, to encourage the citizenry to have their laterals inspected, that's, you know, part of this committee's function, and I think it should be something we should at least address with the town through your comments and say, we think this is important. You tell us how you want to handle it, but we think it's a concern. And I think that's what we have to do.
I think Bill's idea to put it in the permitting is a sound one.
It may well already be
It
there.
may be
We
in
just
there.
need to check that.
You
Right.
know,
But what Dave is doing is pretty common. We're haven't scoped yet, but it's in our schedule to scope.
What was that, the general contractor who suggested it, Bill?
Well, they're always out there trying for more money. But yes,
Yeah.
but it makes good sense because you just had 14 foot of water sitting on that.
Right, right.
So it's going to move
and
stuff.
they do shift. There's no doubt about it. Whenever you get that kind of weight on
Right.
top of a pipe, and you have to remember the surge came in and then the surge came back out. So
Right.
you've got a shifting weight on those pipes. And, you know, again, ours have been down there a long time, 50 years,
Most have, yeah.
and we had some issues. Now, I'm not saying everyone's going to have issues. It's just a good insurance policy to have your pipes checked, and if there are cracks, have them relined.
Right.
Sure, I mean, the person, again, that brought it up to us originally is him and 2 other neighbors in that same neighborhood that all found cracks. The 3 that decided to take a look at them. So you wonder if that entire area is potentially.
Do we know if the county has come through and checked?
The county, I saw the county and I talked to them. They were fogging, and I don't know how they were sending fog down through the sewer lines, I think, looking to see if it would come up somewhere, you know, along the, you know, I don't know how.
Did the town receive any sort of report from the county?
I don't know. I mean, I have a point here that has the county actually, have they inspected all their main sewer lines? Because obviously there's a much higher volume of material to leak if it did. So I made a point here to look at, to find out.
So we'll recommend that people do it voluntarily, and then we'll put this on an agenda to readdress it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so is there a motion?
I make a motion, we recommend to the town that they ask the residents to
Inspect.
Consider.
inspect their laterals for breaks.
Sewer line laterals, right?
I second that.
Lateral. Okay. Okay,
And then the council can take whatever steps they deem
Right.
necessary with staff or anyone else taking that forward. We've done our job. We've told the town this is a concern, how are you going to help the citizens get this done? Or maybe it's just a PIO message that goes out saying, look, you need to get this done. I don't know. We're an advisory committee. We have no authority. It's an issue, and we're making the town council aware of it. We're advising them.
So we've got a motion and I think a second.
I second it, yes.
Any opposition? Jennifer?
No opposition. However, I really appreciate the PIO putting out alerts through text messaging. I think it's great. I'm not sure if they send out emails. I feel like I have never received an email from the town.
Advisories. Are you doing?
No,
sign up
I'm
for
talking
advisories?
about alerts
Oh, alerts?
or information. You get a text message,
You can go on the homepage, I think, and sign up. You have a subscription, and you can say what you want to receive. I'd recommend. But anyway, so motion carries unanimously. Good, actually, we went through. So let's jump into members' items. So we got a few things here, don't we? So we'd like to start. So let's start on this side. Mary Rose?
Yeah, I have several. First of all, dogs are still an issue on our beach. As recently as yesterday, and it was late, I didn't go out until noontime, we have people who will let their dogs roam. They put them on lead, let go of the lead, and let them do whatever. And it's going to be a problem during bird nesting and turtle season, but it's also a problem for people because there's, dog cookies in places where they never used to be, and I'm afraid someone's going to get hurt. I think we need to clamp down on our dog ordinance. The second thing is when they were raising the outrigger, as they were bringing down these tall buildings, they had someone there with a water hose spraying on it constantly so that none of that debris, none of that air pollution was going out. Wow, what a difference. I don't know if they were doing that because they are everybody is supposed to, or just because they thought it was wise. But I would say that it really makes a difference in the air we breathe if they hose down anything that might be pushing up debris into our air. And the third thing that I wanted to share with you was the fact that I went to a conference in Punta Gorda 2 weeks ago, and it was a conference that was titled a climate summit. There were 2 days full of speakers. The speakers ran the gamut from political positions to including mayors and Senator Marco Rubio and someone from the Federal Assistant Secretary for Fish and Wildlife, just about every university in Southwest Florida, the Water Management Commission, mayors, a cattle rancher whose family has been ranching for generations in Southwest Florida. And I'll boil this all down to the fact that everyone here in Florida is vulnerable to water problems. The only thing we can do is to build up our resistance. And there are multiple ways to build up our resistance. Whatever reason you think is causing it, we know that sea level is rising. Whether you believe in climate change or just don't believe in it, nevertheless, if you look at the statistics, sea level is rising. The speed at which it's rising might be a question mark, but we know that we will see a difference. The sea level rise is influenced by tidal increase, and it affects our groundwater, and we know that tidal increases travels upriver. That's why no one is exempt from this. The only thing we can do is to learn our lessons. We need to consider the fact that we are all vulnerable, and the only way we can decrease our vulnerability is by increasing our resilience. And this meeting on Thursday, March 21st, is going to address that directly for Fort Myers Beach. That's mine.
Okay. That's a great lead-in for one of mine. Next Friday is World Water Day, but just sort of a public announcement there. And the other thing is that I had an article published February 28th in the Beach Observer about making Fort Myers Beach green again. And at the end of it, I said people could gather all this information from the Murph pop-up booth. And one of the dates that I cited was March 15th, and we are not going to be in Times Square on March 15th. So 2 weeks following that, I assume we will be, those dates will be coming as soon as we get down the line, but I will not be there March 15th.
Very good. All right, I've got, what do I have here? First, again, just a reminder again about our panel forum, March 21st, which is a Thursday, 9 to 11 a.m. In addition, I guess we're running along here, but I did get some feedback on the raking paper that you had provided us. So I'll wait maybe till next meeting. I'd like to read some of that in the record. It was there's a couple. There's a sea turtle biologist and as well as the head of the FWC turtle program who had commented on that paper, and I wanted to share it as a matter of record, really. So since that information was shared at a Murph meeting. Other than that, I think that's. Maybe one thing. Member Nussbaum, I know that you have. The condo association, the president, I guess, or whoever is there an opportunity to share our resilience panel forum with that distribution list?
I'm a member of the Condominium Association of Fort Myers Beach. I can put that on I could provide that information to the secretary of the organization, and she can post it to the condominium association members that are in that group. And I'd be more than happy to do that.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Rob.
I do not have anything.
Nothing.
No, nothing for me.
For Russ.
Yes. I have a huge concern about the island drains. I had somebody on my street who drained their pool out actually during the lowest tide, and we flooded our street just from a pool being drained. And then I believe it was a week or two, maybe a week later, we had maybe an inch of rain. It was a rainy day, and they called it was an inch of rain. And again, at lowest tide, I had water almost coming up to my garage. So we're talking feet of water at the lowest tide. So with the summer storms coming and our hurricane season, it really concerned me. So I contacted the town. They quickly got someone out and cleaned out the drains. And thank you, Chad, and to the town for doing that. But I am concerned about other streets. I believe that we really need to be aware and, contact the town if you see flooding on your street and you know that it shouldn't be that high during a little storm, then, take action, because that water could affect or every property is a different, has different elevations, and you may not have flooding in front of your house, but a house 2 doors down may be flooded out. So, just be aware. And that's it for me.
Dates,
Thanks, Jen.
pop-up dates.
Oh, pop-up dates. I think we went through April, right? No?
Well, there's the Friday of March 29th.
Okay, so the pop-up has been canceled for the 15th. I'm going to be out of town. And the next one was March 29th. Then we have April 12th. And April 26th. And if you want to go through May, we can do May 10th. and May 24th.
Okay, it's probably enough for now.
Yep.
We can't hold anything that long. Thank you, Jen. Bill, anything? Member Newsbaum?
I only have one question for the chair, and that's, in May, I may have to be away for a physician schedule, and I was wondering if their other town council meetings allow video participation on it, and I could participate via Zoom, if that would be acceptable to the committee members for the May meeting.
Yeah, that's good, because I think you have to do that before, while we're here, I think. But I believe we have the facilities to do that, and it's been done before. Jacob, yeah, I see you nodding. Okay. So the question really is will the advisory board allow it? Is there anybody that's opposed to it? Any discussion?
Great idea, I think.
Yeah.
We should
So,
all be
yeah.
available.
I think technically you'd have to bring it up at that meeting,
Oh, at that meeting?
approve him to do it at that meeting.
At that meeting, okay. I
But
thought I saw
again, I
another-
wanted to bring it up because I know from a schedule right now, I will not be here.
Okay,
So because of that, and because other committee members or other committees, and in fact, the town council has allowed it, I wanted to first address it with the committee members, because I know that you have to bring it up at that particular meeting
oh, you do?
and vote on it. So
Okay.
before it became an issue, I wanted to make it an issue.
Oh, I didn't think you could do that at the meeting, because I thought there was a
I thought
Bay
you had to do it
Oaks
the meeting before, like
meeting that couldn't-
April.
Didn't have a quorum, maybe, that's why they.
Well, whatever we have to do, I think we're okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
We'll approve it.
Do you have,
both,
do you have to check in first? Do you have to check in with with our technician
Right.
beforehand, or?
I
don't
will
know.
check with him and
Right.
find
Good.
out.
Okay.
And then
yeah,
let us know,
that's
Dave,
fine.
at some point, so that we can all take advantage of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do both. Everybody here is agreeable, and then at the meeting, we'll make a note to do that. All right, so moving along here, obviously running a little bit
So
late.
that's all I had, so I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, I'll close members' items. Staff update?
Hey, so Chad shoots staff for the town. So our beach project funded by the Florida Department of Emergency Management legislative grant continues. We have over 50,000 tons delivered and being placed to date, filling in scours and reconstructing and adding berm to the beach. We've finished up the we finished up the scours on Bird Beach over on Carlos Point Beach on the south end, and we are near to finishing the 8,000 to 7,000 berm construction and filling in scours on the 6,000 block and moving on to the 5,000 block. Bird monitors are surveying daily prior to construction commencement, and we're hoping to have that same productive shorebird nesting season that we had last year during our FEMA berm construction. The renourishment project invitation to bid is going to be going out this week, if not today, and we are working on a solution for installing a berm on the north end to provide some protection to those upland properties. Just a little note on Lake O. You may have heard in the news that the lake is high and they're trying to get the levels down for the upcoming rainy season. We've had a very wet winter, as you all know, above averages. We're getting about 68% of the flow out of the Caloosahatchee is from Lake O at about nearly 5,000 cubic feet per second. That was as of March 4th to March 10th for the 7-day mean inflow. And that's all I have.
Okay. Moving on, public comment?
Cindy Johnson, resident and Turtle Time volunteer. I'm just going to wrap up with what I learned at the light pollution workshop. So going forward, the lighting industry is aware that light pollution affects not only people, human health and human safety, but it also affects wildlife, not just sea turtles. So the Design Light Consortium, they are an advocacy group for the lighting industry. By 2025, they hope to have over 600 white papers written, recommendations for the lighting industry on 600 different species. And you probably figured out by now that amber light isn't the best light for all protected species. So we may, in the future, have different lighting for different species if we have them in our area. And the window tint and the window industry, the window fenestration group was there, Jennifer Hatfield. They actually sat next to her the whole time. They were there because of the results of the FWC study with them on the hatchlings that concluded, I don't know if it was 2020, at the end of 2022, that found that the loggerhead hatchlings were not affected by light as long if it was under light from interior lights, as long as it was under 30%. They were lobbying that FDEP, who was there, and the FWC decrease to under 30% for the state statute for the CCCL, but the FWC is going to do another experiment this summer with green turtle hatchlings. Green turtles are far more skittish, and they want to see not only if the number of the tint needs to be reduced, but they would wait for a peer-reviewed evaluation of the other experiment before they would ask FDEP to reduce that number for the tint. So that's the update in lighting. Thank you for all your time, guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I'll close public comment. Murphy Ward. Do we have any Murphys?
There's some in the bank. I don't have a new one.
Yep.
No, I don't either.
Library Kim. Jennifer? Jennifer?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm
Sorry, I thought you were deep in thought.
I was. I have another Murphy, but let's.
Oh,
I believe the library is hoping on a note of the library, but yes, Kim would be a great one with the.
so this is
The wraparound.
the artist that's redoing the mural in the library. Any other nominations?
No, but it's already done, isn't it?
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
Nope.
No, it's one of the ones in the bank.
I have to look to see.
No, I meant done as in she's done working on it, not done like we
Oh.
submitted it. Sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Let's vote. All in favor of.
Was Kim the only one in the bank?
That's all we got in the bank.
No,
Well, we
there's
have
the lady
Dixie
who
Fish still,
had
but
raised the money for the activity book. She's still in the bank, I
she's
believe.
covered.
Yeah,
I don't know if
she-
I
I
received
read-
that, but
I did
yeah,
that. I sent-
That's
yeah.
actually,
I thought we had one with Dixie Fish putting up the
Right, there's
signs,
one,
of
as I
bird
said.
signs.
But then there was a question because it's a private,
Oh,
but I mean, I think it's
but
grand.
it's still
I
that
wish
they're
all the,
doing.
I wish all the beachfront properties had a sign up like that.
Yeah, I
not to feed
really
the
think
wildlife.
that is a great idea because I think those signs are important to our wildlife and not feeding the birds and
so
that the
can you update
restaurants do that.
Anybody that's not aware of what that one was?
It was Mary Rose.
It was this, there's a sign at the restaurant called Dixie Fish, and it just asks people not to feed the birds, but it's very cleverly worded. It's somewhere, I'd have to find it in my,
Right.
it's on my phone someplace. And I don't remember what it said, but I know it was very clever.
Right.
And I thought that
I-
it was noteworthy.
I
It's gonna take a while,
personally
I have it
think
off.
I like that Murphy Award just because it might get other restaurants are, considering
opening
We'd
and
have to get their
building.
permission, which
But
means
they
I'd
could
have to
do
go to
it.
Dixie Fish again.
It's just encouraging restaurants to, educate their patrons on not feeding the birds. It probably helps them out quite a bit too, not having the birds land on your
Exactly, they're very dirty, shall we say that? And
Filthy.
I have to go way back in time here. It's going to take me a while to
So are
find
you
it.
saying that you need to get permission, Mary Rose?
I think I would. Do you think, or we can just use it?
No, I think you can use it.
Okay,
Okay,
Well,
so
then-
there's 2
we'll
nominations.
throw that out there. Okay.
Are you withdrawing your nomination? Or you,
No, we'll keep it in the bank.
well, do you want it in the bank, or do
I would
I mean,
like it in the bank.
we need to vote on a recipient. So do you want you want the Library Kim to be in the voting? You had mentioned her earlier, so she was on the table. So, and then we added this.
We'll just stop.
You withdraw that nomination. Okay, so there's 1 nomination for Dixie Fish House.
I'll,
Any,
I found
I'll
it.
second the nomination.
Okay, seconded. Any more nominations? No. Anybody opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Yeah, I did
Fish
find it. I
House.
can send it to you.
Murph winner. Okay, good. And a little write-up, obviously, so,
Sure.
okay, perfect. Oh, also then, who's next on the list is, we got Bills, we got Roses, we got Mary Roses. Yeah, so I'm next, actually, April. So I'm up, Dave, you're on deck, and Rob, you're in the hole for the Shoreline Spotlight articles, okay?
I sent you my article, right? You got
Yep,
mine?
I have
Okay,
it.
good.
Yep, yeah, we got backed up a little bit there, so I had to
No
I had to
problem.
meter them out, yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't always match up with the Murphys because on timing, so I do the best I absolutely can on that. So, but it will, you'll probably see it shortly. Okay, so having finished Murphy Award, set agenda for next meeting. Sea turtle conservation, I would say, is done, correct? Unless that's returned to us from town council.
Activity book.
Activity book, obviously, so activity book. We tabled adopt a right of way, so that comes back, and then we do a little research on sewer lines. Or did we make, no, we made, based on your motion, correct, so we'll say for now, that's obviously out unless we're requested. So, those 2 items, anything else? Sorry, I got caught here without my initiative list up. So, are we in position to add whatever's next on our initiative list?
Yes.
We have 2 items right now. We have the activity book. Sorry, give me 1 second here. Oh, where's that going to be at? How do I not have that? Do I have that?
I have a hard copy.
You have the hard copy of it? Perfect, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know why it's not here. Tabled.
We'll have a summary of the resiliency panel, maybe.
Build right town vegetation was sort of this, rebuild right mangrove protection. So next, the items that have not been covered on our consensus initiative list are mangrove protections, beach obstructions, EC zone protections, beach raking, grooming, compliance, compromised waste, we did that. Private sand placement for temporary berm during sea turtle nesting, beach renourishment easements, and prop guards. Those may be, she's got some notes here.
Steve, how about resiliency panel?
Debrief?
Yeah.
I
And who
think
knows
that's
what's gonna come out of
probably
that.
going to take up a
Okay.
large share of the,
And who knows what's going to come out of that, what we
That's
decide
correct.
to pursue.
All right, so set agenda, I have the activity book.
Resiliency,
Resiliency panel debrief,
right?
debrief, and the adapter right away. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda is set.
If it pleases the chairman, there's a gentleman who manufactures solar amber lights that I was asking if he could just give a presentation. It wouldn't be long, maybe 5 minutes or so.
Sure.
Great.
Perfect meeting. It's the lighter
Okay.
agenda, so is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Solar light. This isn't the same one they used up at, for streetlight, not streetlights. These are,
It's it can be mounted to a pole.
I'm
Obviously,
thinking of Lido Key. You know, they municipally, they put in solar amber lights there about a year ago, I think.
yeah, not that
Not
outfit.
that,
no.
remember, because they chased you too, trying to get in? Yeah, it's a while back.
Yep.
Okay, so that's agreed upon. So we have activity book, resilience, and these can be reordered, I suppose, as we need them based on this gentleman's time. Maybe we start with the solar lights?
Sure.
So
Sure.
that the
Let 'em come
gentleman
in
can
and
then
out.
leave? Okay. Activity book, resiliency debrief, and adopt a light program. Okay,
And staff update, right? We want to hear what's going on
Yep.
with our sand. Good.
he agreed to have that as an item, so. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Hearing no opposition, meeting